Hi everybody, my name is Reynaldo Quintero, also known as REIQ, and today I want to talk about and teach you how to draw a neck. Before explaining all the muscles and all this complicated stuff that you see right now here, I want to go to the more simple way of tackling and doing this part of the body that it can be tricky in many ways, and I want to explain the simplified version of it. What I want you to think about the neck, not only think about the cylinder of the neck, but think about the base of the neck. Where does that neck attach to the body? For that, we're going to represent the base of that neck using a diamond shape, just like this. This is a simplified version of how to draw the neck. We think first about diamond shape, and then inside this diamond shape we're gonna place a cylinder or a circle. This is a circle where the neck is gonna be placed. From there, that's when we're gonna grow the neck, and we're gonna throw these lines up, and this is where the neck is gonna grow. Okay? You have to keep in mind that there's a lot of mobility around the neck and around all the area of the shoulders and all of that. That's where we get a lot of more mobility. This diamond, what actually represents, when I think about it, is a hinge. These sections of the hinge of this structure will go up, they will flap up, and they will flap and go down, right? So it will go up like this, it will go down like that, kind of like a butterfly. That's the idea I want you to keep in mind all the time when drawing the base of the neck. Because that's where the problem lies, is that we usually tend to draw the head, and then we draw this, and we start getting complicated with all the areas of the neck. We actually need to have a structure there to make sure that the neck is sinking into the body, that it feels that it's connected. But then it becomes complicated, like where does these lines and all this anatomy comes from? And that's where I'm going to be explaining on the next steps. Once I think about the neck as this shape, this triangular shape with a hinge in the middle there, I can start placing it in perspective, and I can start moving it around. So let's say this is the head with the ear here, and then we have the neck. You have to think about the neck instead of like a straight cylinder like this. Think about it more as a cylinder with a tilt and kind of like more organic, you know. Don't think about it like a straight, think more about kind of like bent cylinder, so that will give you more naturality and more human-like feeling, instead of having these just like straight lines and being very stiff. And once I have my head, the head drawn, I think about this neck, and I think about how that head, how the cylinder is connected here. Let's say this is the perspective that I have, and then I want to place that hinge. I'll draw a center line here, and from this point I'm going to create that diamond shape. Let's say I do a face like this. I start with my head, center line, and draw the jaw, divide it, place the ear, make sure that jaw is like that, and then I can draw the neck as a cylinder, have my hinge here, and then based on that I can draw the neck, and I can bring some of the anatomy. I will do something more like easy, more straight. I'm getting more complicated with gesture there because I think about it when I'm drawing the head. I always think about rhythm and how the neck is connected, like try to group everything together. So let's say we have our head here, and then we have our cylinder. Cylinder is attached here. And then we have our diamond shape. Let's say a straight line here in the center. And this diamond shape will have some perspective. That's where you kind of have to practice doing a lot of like this kind of exercise and having different kind of ways of practicing how that neck will fit in there. Try different angles, try using different photos as reference. And once we have this, we can move to the more specific parts of the neck, which involves anatomy. I'm gonna be covering that. Of the anatomy and how everything is connected to the neck and the rhythms and what goes in front and what goes around the neck, and what are the marks that we're gonna be drawing when we actually have this in a finished drawing. We're not gonna be having all the anatomy just like shown there unless it's like a superhero type kind of character, and that's when we might actually want all those anatomy like showing there. But let's say if it's a female character will be more how you call it, more graceful and more like slim. The neck is gonna be thinner, and for that we do the same, and we kind of like go back to a more simplified version that we were talking. And the neck of the female character are more thin, like this, and it flows from the neck, from the back of the head. It flows. Yeah, I forgot to add the diamond shape that goes there. So for the female, you can actually go way more thinner than this. That would be kind of like the female version of how we should draw the neck. And the reason why I'm showing all with anatomy and everything is because it's way easier later to place the right marks for that neck. Okay, and now where does that diamond shape come from? Well, what is it? And with these anatomy figures that I have here, I want to show you that diamond shape. I think you might see it by now. It's pretty kind of obvious. It's like a combination between a clavicle, which is on this part, and the trapezius that goes in the back. Okay, that will be my diamond shape. That's where it comes from. And then inside they will have the circle, and that's where the cylinder comes, and that's where you get the neck. That's how everything comes together. Pay attention to where the chin is located, and pay attention to how wide is the jaw. Usually for a male, these lines of the neck will be really close to the jaw. Sometimes it can be like straight from the jaw, so it will be like really like masculine and tough. But here I want you to notice how that cylinder neck, what is the tilt I was talking about at the beginning of the video. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the tilt. Notice that the neck is not straight like this. There's a tilt with the neck. Kind of goes along with the face and with this kind of feeling. To discuss a little bit of the anatomy of the neck, there's some big muscles that we can recognize mostly on the surface of the body, and we can see them mostly on everybody. And these two muscles that I think are the most important ones to keep in mind when drawing the neck is this one, which is the external Mastoid muscle. And this external Mastoid muscle comes from the clavicle all the way up to the back of the head here, and this rhythm that goes from the back of the ear to the front of the clavicle, almost to the center of the clavicle, is very important because it's a way to create some gesture and some rhythm in our forms when we are drawing. It's like the head just wraps around and it goes down with the sternocleidomastoid muscle all the way to the clavicle, and that muscle is seen just behind the ear there. So when you're drawing the head, this is the muscle you are drawing. When you start building that neck, it starts flowing down here, and the aspect of this muscle is very important because it builds and supports the head and the movement of the head. As a second one, we have the trapezius muscle. Trapezius muscle is a little bit more bigger, thicker, and it goes all the way to the back of the clavicle and the shoulder girdle. And this muscle is like a hanger. It basically holds our head and holds the clavicle and all the shoulder girdle together in this rhythm. You know, this trapezius muscle is very graceful and it's very useful to know, because when you're drawing characters, you usually will see that rhythm in the body and on many characters. Especially if you're drawing male characters, you will see that flow of the muscle going this way. But the important thing to notice is that this trapezius muscle doesn't start from the back of the ear like the sternocleidomastoid muscle, but just a little bit behind. So you have a rhythm here, and you have a space, and you have a gap, and that gap is filled with other muscles that I don't want to actually explain because they are more internal muscles, but it's very important to understand the gap that is generated here in these two muscles. Between these two muscles, there's a bunch of muscles that makes the movement of the neck, but on top of this, the most important when drawing are the trapezius muscle. This is one here that goes all the way from this point to the very top of the head, and the sternocleidomastoid muscle that goes from the back of the ear to the front. And I think it divides in two. As you can see, there's one muscle coming to the very center, and then there's another one coming just a little bit behind. This create a triangle here, this triangle, and it's a dip that we can include in our drawings. As well as this dip here, we have to keep in mind this hole here, because like if you grab somebody from the neck and you pressure there, you can feel that there's like a soft spot. Nobody wants to be grabbed there. It's kind of painful, but it's important to understand this as graphic shapes, and we can see that how this triangle shape of the trapezoid muscles here, it flows from the back of the head and it goes to the front to the shoulder. So it's from the back of the neck to the shoulder, to that corner here. Whereas the other one goes from the back of the head to the front of the clavicle. And from the other side, we can see the other muscles that are inside the neck. We actually don't need these muscles that much. I don't need them. I don't draw these. But it's interesting to understand and see that the muscle and the necks of the muscles of the necks are built in layers. So when you are drawing, you have that in mind. And see how when I rotate, how the rhythm from the back of the head just flows with the neck and goes all the way down to the front. And on the profile we can see the angle of these muscles, you know, something to observe and to understand. This one goes to the front and this one goes to the side. Okay. Also notice the throat, the angle of the throat, which is something more like this compared to the sternemastoid muscle. It's like this, and the trapezoid. When studying the trapezoid muscle, it's good to understand the whole shape. Probably what you want to group all of this together when drawing the back. I don't want to go in detail right now because of that, because it can get really complicated, especially the back muscles can be really tricky. There's a bunch of layers on top of them, so I don't want to complicate it more. And this is the explanation for the neck and the muscles you have to look for when drawing the neck. Now let's go to some actual drawing. Okay, now I'm going to practice, or I'm going to show you how to practice using photo references. I think it's very important to do these kind of exercises along as drawing on your own. It's because when you are doing live drawing, when you are drawing people, and especially when you are doing live drawing, you want to find the muscles, you want to identify the marks that you're drawing, and you want to know where those marks are coming from. What is it? To identify what are you drawing. And I have done a couple of drawings like this and for different parts of the body, but I definitely suggest you to try to break down the muscles there. Some of them might not appear, but if you have the sense and you have like an anatomical reference, you can reference to that and then try to identify the muscles that are showing in that position. And here I already identified the sternemastoid muscle that I explained in the previous section as well, and now I'm defining that trapezius muscle that kind of flows with the deltoids. It flows very well, so it's kind of easy to find that muscle leading to the back of the head. And as you draw, kind of like make sure to section everything and trying to identify all the areas of it. And probably the clavicle doesn't look like that because the pectoral muscles are grabbing there, but I just wanted to identify that bone, and then from there be able to attach all the points and attach all the muscles and all the insertions and all the origins of the muscles. I totally recommend you to do this and take your time to identify them, and you can actually, after like drawing a couple of times, you can actually like try to find the roundness of each muscles. And here I already found the hole I explained on the last part, and the tiny triangle at the bottom of the clavicle. And I like to in this area I'm kind of like shading a little bit that inner part of the neck that I was talking about. I'm not drawing the muscles that are inside there. If you want to go to that point, you are more than welcome to do it, and just kind of drawing the muscles that are showing the most, that I feel that I want to identify when I'm doing these kind of drawings. And feel free to add the drawing of the head and all of that. And one of the reasons that I'm drawing on top of the photo is because it's easy to do the mark and identify the muscles. That's the objective of this way of practicing. Whereas if you are taking a photo and you're drawing it all over again, you are going to be more concerned on how the drawing is looking, the proportions, and then you will do the muscles, but it's going to take you way more time. And the idea is to identify what you see, and instead of drawing it, you are drawing it on top of the photo, which is more easier and it makes more sense. So you're focusing on identifying those muscles. So that's a good way of practicing practicing anatomy in general. And I like to do it because it actually like helps me to identify, like, once I see this photo and I know the muscles that I drew, when I have to do it again, I already know, okay, yeah, this is the mark for this muscle and this is the mark for that muscle. So it becomes easier and easier the more you do these kind of exercises. Many people like to draw all over again, and I think it's a good idea too. You can do the drawing all over again, but after doing this kind of practice drawing on top of the photo, because you draw on top of the photo and you already identify, kind of like focusing on that point instead of like focusing on how the drawing is looking, because it might not match exactly the photo, and you want to identify the muscles. Another thing I like to do is to kind of like draw a little bit of kind of like sections, section the muscles with some lines, just to make sure that I'm thinking about the roundness of each muscle, and that's the part that I'm gonna be doing right now. I did a little bit of the face and all that, just to, I didn't want to have that neck without a proper head, or at least with some features, And definitely, as I said, this is a very basic kind of view, 3/4 view, but try to draw different poses and try to find different angles of the neck and different positions, and then you will understand a little bit more what kind of muscles are being activated when you're drawing. What kind of muscles are activated in certain positions. That will bring your art to another level, and you will recognize that if you are kind of practicing wisely the muscles. And I'm doing the male because it's easy to see the muscles, it's more obvious, but on the female it's gonna be more delicate. You have to take your time. It's gonna be harder to identify the muscles because you're thinking about, what are the muscles, what are these lines. So what I did here is to find that diamond shape, and then after identifying the diamond shape, I did the circle of the neck, and then when I had that structure already there, I start adding all the muscles. It's kind of like an easy process to do, instead of drawing instead of drawing the neck as I see it. Because obviously you're gonna do that later once you have that knowledge already settled and you already know what is going on. You will only draw the and do the marks that you need for that drawing. And another recommendation that I was talking just right now is, when you are doing this exercise, try to grab different photos, different position, the body in different positions and different angles, and trying to identify that diamond shape. I think it's the most important aspect when you are drawing any kind of photo. You see the body and you're like, oh, what are these marks and the neck? Where to begin? Let's start with the diamond shape, the base of the neck, and then the cylinder, and then you can build everything from there. Okay, on this part of the video, I'll be drawing from some photos, but I'm going to be constructing everything, and I'm kind of drawing it more like a freehand and try to identify the muscles more quickly, and also using some of my imagination, because I'm seeing the reference, but I want to see how much I can draw without looking at the reference, and then if I need some help, oh, okay, now I see what's going on. And At this point, I already know the muscles that are like necessary to build the drawing, and the rest is just like adding the marks where you need them. And I did a lot of drawings for this video tutorial. Many are not like that great because, well, I was a little bit tired, but don't worry if your drawing is not looking as great as you would like. Like in this drawing, and I'm repeating myself again because I felt like it was looking good, but I'm not like completely satisfied. So I'm gonna draw it all over again and do it again. You know, it's how many characters are you gonna draw with that are in this position with the neck like that in 3/4 or a profile view? So it's not like, oh, I did only one drawing. It's like, why not repeat it again? See how easy it becomes when you kind of like do it for the second time or third time. Even adding some features there just to make sure that the proportions are right. And once I'm done with this, I move on for another one. And I'm trying to apply the concepts that I was teaching on my previous videos about the construction of the head. And this is kind of like the basic head shape, and now I'm attaching the neck with this tutorial. And I think it's pretty important. For me, it was pretty difficult to understand the neck and how it look and what are these muscles here and all that. It can be really confusing, and that's why I kind of like wanted to make this video to make it as simple as possible for everybody who are struggling with the neck. You can know the muscles and everything, but to simplify it and see it in a more kind of basic way is really important for when you're drawing from imagination. And this is like another one that I am doing. It's like I did the triangle. I didn't do the triangle in completely like the diamond shape, but I know that the diamond shape is there. So what you do is just use the mark that you need to convey the anatomy and the anatomy and the position of the neck and the face. Just with some marks you can actually convey a lot. You don't have to draw all the muscles separately. So this is more like after you have practiced a lot and you can make the marks that you need, the triangle here. And if you want, you can go crazy and make the neck like super thick, and that's when you can start playing with it. This one I'm constructing from my imagination. As you can see, now I'm building the diamond shape, then the cylinder, then the neck and the head. And in this time I'm gonna be actually drawing the muscles because I want to see if I can like draw them. Like after doing all this practice, can I draw the muscles like I was doing with the references? And I think yeah, otherwise I wouldn't be putting this part on the video. But I think this is showing you how I do the drawing is great because you will see how I start with a basic construction and then I start building. I definitely suggest not to rush to a more completed drawing without having figured out all the parts that you need to build that. I like to go step by step and create that drawing. Many people just jump ahead and then you start drawing, and for a practice you want to take your time. For any drawing you want to take your time to build, to fix, and don't worry if the portions are not right. You can always correct. You can draw all over again and draw it as many times as you need, so you can appreciate it. You can like digest that information. And on this drawing I'm getting a little bit more complicated. and trying to change the position of the head, try to see how the neck will look in that position. And that's the point of me telling you to practice with different pictures and different angles, and like the head looking up or the head looking down, and try to identify and see what changes are happening in the muscles. When the head is looking up, like in this drawing, the trapezius muscle will bulge. I think that's the right way to say it, bulge, and they're gonna become like a little bit inflated and contracted. So try to do that yourself, and the muscles will be a little bit more contracted and tense. And the sternocleidomastoid muscles are gonna be more flat, and they're gonna like open a little bit more to let the throat go up. And on this drawing, I'm working on the gesture. When I was traveling around Europe, I saw a lot of paintings, and I saw how these artists will create the overall shape, kind of like drawing a 9, or like upside down 6, just a circle with a tail. And that tail is the muscle of the sternocleidomastoid muscle. And I look for gestures when I'm drawing the neck, because as with the hands and with the feet and all the parts of the body, the neck can give a lot of grace and can give a lot of personality, especially when you're talking or you're doing some kind of expression or you're feeling in a certain way. You will always kind of tilt your head to the side and have a certain attitude. It tells a lot about the characters. So when you find those drawings or you find that reference, when you see that person moving the neck in a certain way and having a certain expression, you want to study those. And at first you start basic, like 3/4 view, frontal, side, but then once you get those muscles, you already know the muscles, then try to look for those references with more complex shapes, with more grace, and both for male and female, and that will help you so much. Also, you can try to simplify the anatomy a lot, so you can make more drawings like in a more anime style. But even in the anime style, they have certain marks. It's a more simplified way, and that's the reason why I like to teach this kind of anatomy construction drawings, is because everything is connected. If you want to draw anime and make it very simple, it's cool, but you have to know the marks, because actually it becomes more difficult when you can only pick a few lines just to describe anatomy, and you want those lines to be precise and tell all the story about what's going on with anatomy. And these practices are great. I love to do this. I don't draw that many male characters. For me, it's a good way of practicing in this like anatomy, Because once you learn and you know how to draw the neck, you kind of like don't think too much about it, because you are drawing other things. But when you are learning, you are breaking down everything to the simple shape. And here I like to add those contour lines just kind of like indicate the roundness of each muscle, and it looks kind of cool, so I like to do it. And on future videos, I'm gonna be talking about the legs. I'm gonna be talking about other parts of the body, but I thought about the neck because I see a lot of problems when, well, with my older drawings and with the drawings of other people. So I kind of wanted to tackle this because, man, people don't, the neck is not that important, but it really is important, because when you draw a lot of heads and the heads are separate from the body, but when you really have to attach everything, it becomes really difficult. And for me, I think it's one of the most difficult parts to do, is to be able to attach the neck and the head, and that they look like organic and natural. It happens a lot that you have a body and then you have the head, but it doesn't match. It happens a lot in many drawings. It happened to me so many times. So that's why I thought that I needed to show how to do this after I learned how to do it. Because I had the struggle, and I know the struggle. So I want to, I want to help for that. Help everybody who has problems like this. And for me to review. And make sure to subscribe to my channel in YouTube. Make sure to keep supporting me on Patreon. I'll be making more videos, and I'm gonna be breaking down more of these kind of anatomy sections of the body. And I'll listen to requests. Probably gonna do one for the butt, one for the backside of the ladies. And I'm gonna be working on more tutorials, and I'm working on a series of basic drawing, like basic line drawing for people who want to improve their line art. And I already did the first one, and I'm gonna do the second soon. So thank you very much, and I hope you have learned a lot from this video, and see you next time. Thank you very much.